welcome to our channel. My name is Shrujna and today we are with Dr. Soumya, who is one of the leading gynecologists in the city, and also let's meet MD of Soumya Hospitals. Let's talk to her. Hello ma'am, how are you?
I'm good, Srujana. How are you?
I'm so good after seeing you.
Thank you.
So doctor, firstly thank you so much for postponing your OPD for us.
It's okay. Thank you.
So doctor, what are all the factors that will not cause a woman pregnant?
Okay. First we'll speak about pregnancy. For a pregnancy, you need a normal embryo. For a normal embryo, you need a normal egg and a normal sperm. Then, after it is fertilized, it forms an embryo and it has to be implanted. For a normal embryo and normal sperm with normal motility and normal forms are required, and the quality of the sperm is also important. The chromosomal factors of it are also important. The male chromosomal abnormalities may also cause abnormal embryo. So the male chromosomal or female chromosomal, if we are coming to the egg quality, both the male and the female chromosomes should be normal. When they are normal, we get a normal pregnancy, normal embryo, and the success rate of having a live birth are increased. Next comes to after the embryo is formed. The embryo usually is formed in the fallopian tubes of the pregnant woman. So the tubes of the woman, the sperm has to travel from the cervix to the uterus, then to the fallopian tube. So in between, if there are infections in the woman, in the female genital tract, these also hinder the sperm. They may kill the sperm also. So there should not be any infections, vaginal, bacterial vaginosis, all these should not be there, provided other factors, other hormones are normal. Then the travels to the fallopian tubes, where the fallopian tubes catch the egg, and then the egg is slowly transferred to the ampulla of the fallopian tube, where the fertilization occurs. After the fertilization occurs, if a normal embryo is formed, then the embryo travels back to the uterus and it gets implanted in a place in the embryo, place in the uterus, in the endometrium. So the endometrium of the uterus, see, let's come here. The egg comes from the ovary, which is catched by the fallopian tubes, and then it travels in the ampullary region. The sperm travels from down to the cervix to the uterus fundus, and then here the egg fertilizes here. Okay, after the egg fertilizes, the egg passes through the uterus and places in the endometrium. So the endometrium thickness is also important. The formation, how is the endometrium structure, and are there infections in the endometrium? Infections, like many infections are there. In that, most important is tuberculosis. If there is tuberculosis in the endometrium lining will be thin, and some patients may be having excess heavy menstrual flow also in early stage of the tuberculosis. So if she is having infertility for a longer time, we sometimes take the endometrial biopsy in a normal saline sample and test for tuberculosis in endometrium. Other than infections, the endometrium lining, how is the blood supply, and all that is important. Endometrial thickness during the implantation time. Okay. Then the pregnancy gets implanted in the uterus. It grows, and later it reaches the term and she delivers. For this, let's come to both male and female. Male spermatogenesis problems may be there. In between, the quality of the sperm may also be involved. The motility, due to infections, the motility may be decreased. And other problems may be there in male. In female, for the egg, the most common cause of having a delayed egg or the ova is released, but it is not released in the during the proper time when the endometrium is properly primed or so. Most people suffer with PCOD. The ovaries are having polycystic. There is hormonal imbalance in these women. Nowadays, the PCOD has increased a lot due to the sedentary lifestyle and the lifestyle changes we are having. Mostly due to the we are not eating fiber rich food. Ready-made food is available. Fast food is, most people are having fast food and processed food mainly. So and other stress, sedentary lifestyle, and they are doing, most women nowadays are doing night duties due to changes in the circadian rhythm also. Due to this, all this stress, the PCOD is on rise these days. So in PCOD, what happens? The egg is not released on time. Means every month a woman releases 1 or 2 eggs which are to be fertilized. But in this polycystic ovarian diseases, the egg doesn't come. Once in 2 or 3 months, she may be having normal ovulation. In other weeks, the egg may not reach the size and they all form small cysts which are known as a polycystic. So when the egg, and other than that, when who cannot get, see, women who are above 35 years, their egg quality decreases, and the mitotic divisions in the woman are abnormal. The last eggs after 35 years, the eggs are last. They are the leftover eggs which are not normal. So the risk of chromosomal abnormalities are increased after 35. They still get pregnant, but the risk of miscarriages are more.
Okay.
After 40, due to the, when we go higher than the uterus, ovaries, higher up, HPO axis, what we say, hypothalamo pituitary ovarian axis. When we, these are all women what I am speaking. The higher axis, hypogonadotrophism, and this the brain thalamus hormones are, hypothalamus hormones are involved. In these women, the main female hormones, reproductive hormones are decreased. So abnormal chromosomes like Turner's syndrome, in this there is ovarian dysgenesis. The only one chromosome in this woman, they have only one X chromosome, the other chromosome is absent. So in this woman with Turner syndrome, the uterus is present, the size is small in them, but the ovaries, they are small. Ovarian dysgenesis is there. These Turner woman syndrome also get pregnant, but the ovary quality, egg quality is less in them. So with donor eggs they can get pregnant, but there is always a risk of having miscarriages because the uterus may not support. They may get hypertension, and the baby may have IUGR, intrauterine growth restriction. When we come to males also, there are also problems. See, for a woman to become pregnant, it is important that her husband is also having normal chromosomes. For husband, they like Turner syndrome, Klinefelter syndrome, Y chromosome microdeletions, these are also there. So we get them chromosomal analysis. If any of them are there, it depends upon that. If Y chromosome is there, they select prenatal diagnosis is there. In that, they take the embryo and they test if the baby is having this chromosome. They usually don't implant the embryo. After male chromosome problems are there, no? Then hypothalamus pituitary. When we come to pituitary, if there is any increase in the pituitary hormone, pituitary hormones, they may be having some tumors in the pituitary gland. If there is increase in the prolactin hormone, it is more than 100. So we suspect pituitary tumors. So that needs to be removed. Or if the pituitary hormone, the prolactin is raised, we give drugs to decrease the pituitary thing. Ovarian axis, when hypothalamus pituitary, we come to the ovarian. Ovarian FSH, LH hormones are there. Estradiol and progesterone hormones are there. If there are problems in the hormones, we try to give outside. We give recombinant FSH hormones or human menopausal gonadotropin hormones to correct this. Or some other drugs like for PCOD. First, we advise 5% reduction in the weight, first modality of treatment. Then we advise them, we say them that we'll see for some time if there is any reduce in the weight, the symptoms are getting corrected, she is ovulating. If it's not happening, we give insulin sensitizers like metformin And next comes the ovarian hormones. We give from outside only. We give combined pills to regulate the hormones. And if all of this is not happening, and the LH is increased to a higher level, and there is another hormone called anti-Mullerian hormone, AMH. If this is high, then only we'll try to do ovarian ablation surgery for PCOD. Ovarian ablation is that there are multiple cysts in the ovary. So, if she is not having any response with drug, so if she wants to conceive early, and if her AMH is good, and she is not having any other problems like endometriosis or so, we try to do ovarian ablation. Like we just burst or cauterize them. The only 4 cysts we see, we just cauterize them so that there is a new growth from the ovary. And these produce new eggs to help her ovulate to get pregnant. That is the last modality for PCOD. Last is the surgery, ovarian ablation.
Right.
And other thing which is a major stressful cause is endometriosis. In this, other than tuberculosis, this pelvic infections, there is endometriosis. In this, the endometrial tissue which should be there in the uterine layer, this gets implanted outside. In the tubes, in the ovary, in the peritoneum, and this causes imbalance. There is lot of inflammation in this, and the tubes get attached. If it is increased a lot, the tubes get attached. If the tubes get adherent, the fallopian tube may not catch the egg, or the normal fertilization in the tube may not happen because the lining may also be involved. In pelvic infections also, the lining may also be involved. So usually if there is hydrosalpinx, the infections of the tube, hydrosalpinx, what we call it is hydrosalpinx. In those places also, the inner lining of the tube is disturbed. So in these people, we grade the people with endometriosis. So if the endometriosis is mild, there are drugs to reduce endometriosis, but the success rate is not so satisfactory. If the endometriosis is not getting resolved with the drugs, we try to do diagnostic lab. In the diagnostic lab, laparoscopic surgery, keyhole surgery, we try to cauterize those spots of endometrium which are causing the severe pain to the woman. And other than that, if there are any adhesions to the tube, we just release them. Or if the tubes are totally adherent and there is lot of hydrosalpinx, and so usually if there is the tubes are chronically inflamed, the success of the tubes getting the pregnancy is very low. So if there is hydrosalpinx, it's always advised to clamp the tubes, because the infection may come and spill in the uterus. The infection may come from here, from the tubes, and it may get spilled in the uterus. So if there is hydrosalpinx and lot of infection, the tubes are inflamed, we just clip them so that the infection doesn't. Some prefer to ligate and cut them, means tie them and cut them. It depends upon the doctor or the surgeon there. They are the one who are visualizing the portion, and they say what is good for the woman. And other than that, if the endometriosis is more than grade 4 or grade 5, they usually don't try to excise the whole area. How much area they can cauterize, they can do justice, they do and leave. And keep them on drugs. Okay. After that, other things, what becomes is abnormalities in the formation of the uterus. After these infections, when we other than endometriosis, let's come to the abnormalities in the formation of the uterus. Normally, during the fetal life, when we are in our mother's womb, when the uterus is being formed, in the there may be problems in the Mullerian duct. The Mullerian duct, usually the Mullerian duct fuses and forms a uterus like this. Sometimes during this fusion, this middle layer may not get dissolved. So it may be like this. There may be 2 uterus. The uterus diadelphus. In this, the woman will be having 2 uteruses and 2 cervix. These women can get pregnant and they can also give live birth, but there are risk of preterm. If the division is complete, if the division is incomplete, like this bicornuate uterus, there are two conua, then the risk of miscarriages are more. They get pregnant, but the pregnancy may not reach term. So in this woman, if she is fortunate enough, if the pregnancy is implanted in the lumen, there are chances of her conceiving to term. But if the pregnancy is implanted in one of the conua, she may end up in rupture of the uterus. Or if the pregnancy gets implanted in the tubes, it is called ectopic, then also she may not go to the term because there is no space in the tube. So in that also there is always a risk of rupture. So we should be monitoring her. Transvaginal scans and beta HCG levels we should be taking for them for the ectopic pregnancy. Then if she is suspected, if it is less than, we try to give methotrexate, medical termination. Or if it is a risk of rupture is there, then we take up the surgery and laparoscopically we remove the ectopic pregnancy. We try to milk it if it is possible. When remove the pregnancy which is formed here and milk it out here. But if it is not possible, we will try to ligate the pregnancy and secure hemostasis, like the blood clot. We will remove all the blood clots and we secure the place. Okay. That is ectopic pregnancy. And bicornuate, let's come to the bicornuate uterus. If the pregnancy is implanted in one of the cons, there is always a risk of rupture, so we should have serial scans. So that's why it is very important that if a woman is having any abnormal pain, she should get a transvaginal scan to know whether the pregnancy is implanted in the uterus or in the tubes or in the conua. The conua pregnancy are very dangerous. And other than that, some pregnancy may get implanted in the cervix also. And this is also a very risky pregnancy. Because cervical blood vessels are more. During the miscarriage, there is always a risk of bleeding. High risk of heavy menstrual bleeding will be there for them. So these are the abnormal places where the pregnancy may get implanted. Okay. Other than, there is some people have then after the let's come to the malformations. After the biconjugate, there may be arcuate uterus. There is only a dip like this. So these arcuate uterus people are just like normal people. The malformation is not much. So most of them deliver. There is no problem in them. Few have miscarriages, but however the prognosis is good for them. And other than that, there are other abnormalities like unicornuate. One of the conua is not formed, and there are more that are very rare actually. As earlier I was telling that we have to consider the things from chromosomes for the normal formation of the embryo, chromosomes, hypothalamus, pituitary, ovary and the uterus. Okay. So I have discussed already about the chromosomal abnormalities, hypogonadotrophic hypogonadism, the pituitary abnormalities, then the ovarian hormones and their regulation and the other problems in the ovary. And next we were discussing of the uterus and the tubes and the fallopian tubes, their infections and anomalies. Uterine malformations also I spoke about, and endometriosis also I spoke about. And let's come to the masses in the uterus. And other than that, other than the malformations, there may be septate. This also comes in the malformations only. There may be, the uterus may be septate. It may be partial or complete. There may be septum in the uterus. It may be complete or it may be partial. If she is having miscarriages and we discover it in the ultrasound, if she needs, we have to remove the septum. The septum removal surgeries are done, and most of them are conceiving after the surgeries. Okay, other than the septum, the most common cause is fibroids. For infertility, fibroids. If the fibroids are placed abnormally, the fibroids may be in the mucosa, in the tube, in the wall of the uterus, or serosal, outer layer, here or here. if the fibroids are there, how many fibroids are there? If there are multiple, we have to get them a mapping of the fibroid scan. Ultrasound radiologists give us where are the fibroids situated. Are they in the passage? There may be cervical fibroids also in the passage or in the uterus. Are they causing any? Are they compressing the uterine cavity? Is the uterine cavity deformed? The uterine cavity is deformed also, the embryo will not have space. So there is always a risk of miscarriages during the second trimester, that is from the 3rd, 4th and 5th month.
Okay.
So these women with fibroids, they have to get properly examined, and they need lot of rest and hormones so that she will properly conceive till term.
Yes.
She'll maintain till term. If the fibroids are in the endometrial cavity or their endometrial polyps, these are also growths in the endometrium. These polyps accordingly have to be removed. If their large polyps are there and they are removed, there is always a risk of getting scarring there. This scarring also will not allow the embryo to implant properly. If the embryo gets implanted in the scar, it may not implant properly, and she may have a miscarriage.
Okay.
So it is the surgeon's opinion whether the fibroids in the endometrium have to be removed or a small one can be left. And other drugs are there now available which can be given to decrease the size of the fibroid if possible. And if the fibroids are huge size in the posterior of the uterus, the success of removing the fibroids are less, because posteriorly the blood supply is more. So they may be advised to go to ART techniques, artificial reproductive techniques. That may help them to conceive. Naturally, if the cervical region or the fibroid is obliterating the cavity of the uterus, means not totally, but they may have a better chances of conceiving with ART. Okay. Other than that, other malignancies also we have to consider. When we are speaking about malignancies, if the woman has already been having any ovarian cancers, there are always options of saving their eggs during the surgery. Now they are freezing the oocytes, which is a good thing. And these oocytes, when she wants to conceive after the chemotherapy, everything, she may always go for ART and conceive. And if one of the ovary is normal, if it is not affected, or other surgeries, they want to spare the ovary, any pelvic malignancies are there, they take the ovary and they attach it to the abdomen. Those surgeries are also there, very rare, in order to save the ovary. They do them, but nowadays ovary, they are freezing the oocyte and the ovary also. So people who are having malignancy, they still have the chances of conceiving. They can, if not also, if the uterus is not involved in other cancers, uterus is not involved and the ovaries are involved also, they can get a donor egg also. And they implant the embryo in the uterus. She may naturally get pregnant. Naturally means not naturally, but ART, she can get pregnant and she can deliver.
Thank you so much, doctor, for your valuable time and also on discussing very important topics.
Thank you.
So viewers, thank you so much for watching this video.